these sorts of events back when there wasn't a Microsoft Teams, but it's really nice to be back. I love seeing young people who have creative, innovative ideas and are looking to build businesses around them. So very excited about this. I'm very excited to connect with Edge 196, which I'm going to read a little bit about in a few minutes, but I'm going to start by introducing our panelists. First one is Mr. Rick Ellis, who is a member of my Dean's Advisory Board up there in Katy, and actually is part of he's the Vice President of the Katy Chamber of Commerce, with responsibility for overseeing all membership activities. He holds an MS in Land and Real Estate Development and a bachelor's degree in Construction Management from Texas A&M. Do we have anyone who's going to make the weird noise? Whoa. Okay, there we go. Texas A&M with a historic football win this weekend. In any case, Rick has held leadership positions in economic development in the Katy EDC and Greater Houston Partnership. So welcome, Rick. Why don't you wave so everyone sees who you are.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Dr. Jay Patel, who is the founder and CEO of Sugarland-based investment group Edge 196. As I mentioned, I'm going to read a little bit about Edge and what they're up to in a minute here. Jay's deep roots within the Houston area reaches back to his schooling as an alum of the University of Houston system. Edge 196 has plans to invest in at least one startup in every country around the world because Jay holds the belief that the entrepreneurial spirit can ignite within a society to grow and bolster an entire country's economy if a unicorn, which is a billion-dollar company, is developed. And I certainly agree with that perspective, Dr. Patel. So wave so everyone can see which one you are.
Well, we are, he's not here, but I'm representing him. I'm Neeraj, I'm the CTO at Edge.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, we should have gotten your intro, or your bio. Okay, what about Dr. Andy Chopra? That's you?
Hi,
okay.
Andy.
There you go. So Dr. Chopra is head of research at Edge 196. He was awarded a top 100 spot in the Tech Investors and Influencers ranking. He has over 16 years experience in the international emerging technologies research with global IT companies in banking, insurance, and technology with clients in over 7 countries. Dr. Chopra advises startups on business plans, market competitor analysis, technology research and benchmarking studies, product analyses, market resources techniques, and elevator pitch investor deck presentations, funding strategies, and resources. So pretty much the whole thing. That represents the whole startup curve, I believe. That's great. And there's a connection to Dr. Chopra in the notes somewhere to his LinkedIn proposal and profile, excuse me. And we have Qi Zhu, who is the Director of Graduate Computer Science and Information System Programs. Sorry, I'm hearing double all of a sudden. So Dr. Zhu earned his PhD in computer science from University of Central Florida in 2002. He previously held in academic positions at Florida Gulf Coast University, which I personally think is one of the most beautiful university campuses I have ever seen. So definitely worth a visit if you get down there to the west coast of Florida. Well, wait, I lost my place. I was talking about Florida Gulf Coast. Dr. Zhu's research interests includes operating systems, computer architecture systems, modeling, and analysis of real-time systems. So welcome, Dr. Zhu. We also have Dr. Kaveh Moghadam. I know that smiling face in the back of the room because he happens to be one of my faculty members. Dr. Moghadam is the Director of Community Engagement and Associate Professor of International Strategy and Entrepreneurship with primary interests in internationalization strategies of emerging market firms and international entrepreneurship. So Kaveh, you will have plenty to talk to Dr. Patel about when we get a chance to meet him. Dr. Moghadam spent several years designing and implementing internationalization strategic plans in several companies in emerging markets. He co-founded a machine tool supply distribution business and served as the chairman of the board for 5 years. In addition, he served as a management consultant, providing management education for several public and private firms. Currently, Dr. McAdam is serving on the board of directors and an advisory council of several organizations. So this is a very august group with a broad array of interests in entrepreneurship and technology. And I'm really happy to have you guys here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Edge 196, who started reaching out to us several months ago to find ways to collaborate, and we're certainly very excited to do so. So Edge 196 was founded in 2018 by serial entrepreneur and investor Dr. Jay Patel. He searched for outstanding founders, formed cross-functional teams, brought on mentors, and made qualified investments. Since then, entrepreneurs and experts from over 60 countries have joined the Edge 196 ecosystem. More than 3,000 startups have participated in our global startup competitions. Edge 196 is a fully integrated ecosystem. It's designed to support a startup's journey from inception to established company. Our objective is to create a cohesive environment that transforms startups into successful businesses and enables them to reach their maximum potential. They primarily focus on disruptive, high-growth startups in fintech, real estate, health biotech, blockchain, agri-food tech, climate energy, social impact, and ed tech ventures. So again, very excited to get a chance to meet them and find ways to work more closely to them. So I believe Dr. Chopra is now going to explain to us what they're looking for and what's on offer. So I will flip it over to you, Dr. Chopra.
Yeah, hi everyone, and hi the presenters. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to review and look at your exciting ideas and how you are actually planning to transform the ecosystem or the business model what you're going to present. So just for everybody else here, I think there is already a kind of a time given to you that you will be actually presenting, and then we will have a Q&A session. And basically the criteria, so we will have a score of 1 to 5, like a scale, where we will actually look at your business model, whether it's what problem are you trying to resolve, what is the solution, what are the different markets that you're actually servicing, what is the competition that you're facing right now, what's your sustainability model, economic model, what stage are you at, have you already kind of done some of your investments, how ready you are in terms of your MVP, like minimum viable product, and whether if it's a technology, so is the code built, and so all those things will go into our ranking process. And so we will review and basically the winning team, what we will do is, so we already have our accelerator program, and the winner will actually get the opportunity to be invited to join our accelerator program, which we hold at our Sugar Land office. And so this is a 1-month program that we hold, where we will actually train you, the winner, to actually improvise your business model, your technology, your market access, what you're trying to build, and give you all sorts of help, support, whether it's mentorship or guidance, and help you actually in your journey. And then we'll analyze your model in a much more deeper level. And then once we find that you are the right fit, we will be happy to invest $25,000 for our equity, so that we can get you started in the kind of dream that you have for your business.
Well, that is not a bad deal. So I'm looking forward to this. We have 2 presenters today in this kind of lightning 1-hour format. They're given, it looks like, 15 minutes for each presentation. And our first presenter is Baknai Vishal, who is one of our own computer science graduate students. The topic is blockchain platform to help people in investing in DeFi, crypto, and understand the world of non-fungible, I believe it's supposed to say, transactions. So go ahead. Where is
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
Is there a way to make it check that they can see it?
In here. With the dots.
Are we flipping the camera around?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So hello everybody, my name is
Hang on a
Jay Patel, and it's just an opportunity, great opportunity for me, and I'd like to thank UHV because I've been working in the blockchain space since the last 3 years, and I always wanted to do something related to blockchain, to dwell into the world of blockchain, and I felt this is the right opportunity to express my ideas and everything. So welcome. So my startup, I would say, company or my idea is Unchained. So before, sorry.
Ah, there we go.
See it now?
Oh, it's still the same. It's still.
No, they can see it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so before I just deep dive into what my idea is, I'll just tell a little brief about myself and how I came into this idea. So I'm currently a graduate student in CIS at UHV, and I've worked for over 3 years as a product manager, product owner for multiple blockchain products in startups around the world. And I've worked on Hyperledger, Ethereum, EOS, Binance, and different blockchain platforms, different products, and different verticals. So that's where I realized that there are several pain points. There are several things which needed to be addressed, which needed to be solved. So that's where I came about Unchained. And so what is the problem that as a product manager, as a product owner, or even as a beginner people face? So what I did was I classified my problem into 4 categories, right? One, as a developer, as a solution architect, right? I want to build a blockchain product for myself. My company wants to invest in blockchain. My company has a use case and they want to build a blockchain. But the biggest bottleneck I worked with clients we faced was to choose a perfect blockchain platform, right? Because there are tons of blockchain platforms out there in the market, and every day there is a new one. So to choose one, we had to spend some time. We used to spend weeks on choosing the blockchain platform, and I realized that in choosing the blockchain platform, there were certain parameters that were universal for all the blockchain platforms. Irrespective of you go into Ethereum or EOS, there were certain parameters that we worked with clients in order to find that blockchain platform for them and in order to work for them. The second thing that Unchained solves is, the first is the developer, and we've got a deep dive into it. The second is, blockchain has grown exponentially. I started working on blockchain in 2018, and since 3 years, we've got NFTs, DeFi. We've got so many things coming up that people who are not technical yet don't get a chance to look at it. They don't understand. If you ask any non-blockchain person what's blockchain, the first thing they are going to say is Bitcoin. That's it, nothing else. They think Bitcoin is blockchain, but that's not it. It's a huge world around here, and I've come across questions from people that what is the best crypto to invest in? What is that? Which crypto? Where to invest? So the second part that my app deals is in helping those people in finding it, and I'll tell you how do I do that. And the third and the fourth part is, other than the crypto investment, there are alternative investments that we have, such as DeFi, and we've got NFT world that's going crazy. So these are the 4 issues, these are the 4 accelerators, or these are the points where my application would be focused on. So just as I said, our specifications is for developers, for beginners, for investors, and everything. So all these 4 users could use our applications. Now, it would be a little technical, I suppose, but these are the certain questions that are always asked by our clients from our developers in choosing a blockchain platform. Whether do you want a public blockchain platform or a private blockchain platform? I work with a banking client, and we went for a private blockchain network as Hyperledger. We worked with a social media client, and we worked with a public blockchain platform. So the very first thing we solve is whether you want to go for a public or private blockchain platform. What is the consensus algorithms? I know consensus algorithm might be a little more technical term, but it's like how your blockchain is accepting your transactions. What part of blockchain is accepting your transactions? What security level you need for your blockchain? What is the transactions per second? Whether your blockchain is open source? Are there any level 2 solutions available? What are the smart contract standards, tokens? Are there any existing products? What's the programming stack, adaptability rate, and functionality? So I realized these were the questions that we always used to look around while finding the perfect blockchain platform for our clients. Somehow there were many, there might be few that might have arisen, they were less, but depending on these were almost the universal parameters that we always used to look when we used to find a blockchain platform for our client of building up products or anywhere you work in any company. So I'll probably just give a little demo about how this is going to work. So you would have a mobile application as a developer. It could be a web application or a mobile application. You would have this, as I call it, the first screen. Now, once you go into the application, you will be said, okay, are you a newbie to blockchain? Or is it something you already are a developer, you need to find a question? Are you looking for crypto investment guidance, or you're looking for NFT or DeFi guidance? So as a developer, I'll probably tap into the developers menu. And so these are the questions that would be asked by my application. Okay, as a developer, you are planning to build a platform for your client or for yourself, and you've been troubled in finding the best blockchain platform. You spend time on the internet, going on the communities. You see there are paid marketing that says, oh, this is the best blockchain tool, but that isn't the case. So that's where this modeling and this our application comes in. Our developer would come in and they would answer these basic questions based on their requirement. Let's suppose, okay, I came in and I wanted to build a decentralized application store, the dev store on a blockchain network, and I didn't know what blockchain to go for. So I said, okay, I want a public blockchain. The consensus algorithm needs to be delegate proof of stake. It's also one of, and the developer who's working would know it for sure. I am not looking for very high latency or very high throughput. If a blockchain network is able to see, less than 100 transactions per second, I'm fine. I don't want any heavy blockchains. There is always a transaction cost included the gas fees. So what is the transaction cost that you're looking at? Okay, I can manage around $1 or $1.5 per transactions. Are you planning to have your own token? Yes, I want to have my own token. What is the smart contract flexibility? So this is the rating that I would give to smart contract, how flexible you need the smart contract to. And what's your use case, right? What do you want to work on? Is it real estate, fintech? I said, no, I want to work on tech store. And tech stack, you can choose whether you want to work on CPP, Java. After these all questions, our model is going to give them the best alternative on which they can build this platform. And in this case, it says, okay, we feel that based on the parameters that you said, based on what you said, we feel the best blockchain platform is EOS for now, EOS. And then user can go on to the GitHub link, it can search the DevOps community, it can search the existing products, it can search more about the blockchain platform that we made him choose, that we decided for him. And he can also see on what parameters we decided for him. He can just go on the community links, and we'll have filter community links, we'll have filter products that are on this existing blockchain. So this is in terms of a developer who's coming in. There might be certain other questionnaires for him to see. Now, let's suppose as a newbie, I want to this application and I want to invest in crypto, and I don't know what crypto is, and I'm just newbie to it. Or suppose I know a little bit. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm a newbie and I want to invest in crypto. And again, I say these are just a number of questions or algorithms that I have decided to make, and there are certain parameters that you could add into it. So it's going to ask you, okay, do you have any preferred crypto that you're looking for? Do you know if it's going to be stable coin or what you're looking at? And I think this might not be a compulsory question. Okay, how much amount you're planning to invest? Is it going to be $50, $100? Let's suppose if I have $50, I'm not going to ask you to invest in Bitcoin. There's no use. And if you've got $5,000, obviously I'm going to say, okay, I'll probably suggest you, if you've got $50, I'm going to suggest you go for Ripple, go for IOTA, Croda, or any for that network. Okay, now how much time are you planning to invest the money? Is it for 4 months, 6 months, a year, 2 months, or you just want a quick reward? What is the risk and reward ratio you're looking at? Is it like high risk, high reward, low risk, low reward? And what is the preferred method, right? Because there are a lot of exchanges that are available in the market. Some say, okay, it's going to be, you can pay by credit card. Some says, no, is it going to be this method? So we also ask the users about how you're going to prefer the method. So once the user answers is, okay, I'm looking at $100, time 2 months. I want a low risk reward ratio, I'm not going to take. And I'm going to prefer method cash, I need the card and everything. It's going to say, okay, the best crypto we feel for you based on our judgment is Ripple. And so once he got this answer to the questions, he's gonna go on He's gonna see the statistics, and there are a lot of users who don't know about creating a wallet, what basically blockchain wallet is, and how you can apply. So it gives an option to create a wallet. You can just go on, invest, and you can explore more about this particular currency, about the decision or the result that we have given to you. Now, this is in terms of high level, in terms of for a developer, for a crypto investor who is a newbie. Let's suppose if you are planning to invest in NFTs and you don't know what NFT is, you can probably go into our application and search about, okay, I want to invest in this. I'm looking at the collectibles from this particular category. I don't know which marketplace to go, whether it's OpenSea or anything. So this is where our application would guide us. Our application would also guide us in what DeFi protocols are, what alternative investments are. So it's going to be a one-stop platform for newbies to developers who want to deep dive and who want to have easy access to blockchain. Now, when I talk about the architecture level of my application, so it's not very, I would say, UI or UX centric. I mean, we've got questionnaires, we've got people who will be coming in newbies, so we have to have that flow, we have to consider but UX. But the most important part about our application or about the architecture is the backend stuff. It's going to be a little backend heavy because we would be working more on the algorithms, more on working on the decision trees, creating those models to find out the best platform, best investment, best DeFi protocols, best NFTs. So my application or application Unchained would be, I suppose the architecture would be more on the API side, more on creating the models. So as a team structure, in order for me to kickstart or to be in the power of that would be, for now, since I said it might not be a text very UI centric, so we probably can have one full stack developer, one guy who's going to work on API, database, and modeling. Then we need a blockchain architect who could also verify whatever we are findings, and obviously the sales and business development to enhance or to market the products. Our target audience is definitely the beginners, developers, architects, and students. I know this particular subset covers almost everything, but when I say architects, it means the solution architects who work closely on blockchain products, and there are a lot of companies that have this, and we've got developers, freelance developers, there are a lot of developers who are working on small blockchain products, students such as me, or beginners who are ready to invest. Definitely, nothing is free for this world, as it says, and so our revenue model is going to be a premium model where we'll probably be having some access through our services to our customers, and then working on the asking them to asking them to pay us to use our application. We might be exposing our APIs to third party. Let's suppose if they're Binance, Coinbase, or anything for that matter wants to use our services. Let's suppose they want to use one chunk of our product. We can expose our APIs. We can enable third-party integrations, like we could build a trading platform inside that application. We could have NFT marketplace, and we could have earnings coming from them. So I think that's it from my side, and I'm open to questions, and I'll love to answer all your questions if there is any. Thank you.
Yeah. So great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Have you looked at some of these decision tree matrices and some of these matrices that are currently available online at portals like CompTIA, at portals like even CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, which basically walk a newbie through this process? And there's a bunch of other collateral like YouTube videos. So have you gone through that and taken some guidance from them?
Yes. So this is basically based on the work experience, on the experience that I have. Plus, so when you talk about these platforms, I felt there are a number of sources, guidance, Coinbase, BitGoes. There are a lot of even every trading platform that you see, would have some user guidance. They don't have it like it. But what I aim to solve here is that I want to accumulate or unhide or give the information that users takes time to reach, right? Let's suppose if you say CoinMarket, and even if you go on Google and type best DApp platform for your blockchain, right? Best best blockchain platform for your tab. And you will see 5 different links, and they'll talk about 5 different blockchains. Some would be affiliate marketing, some would talk about in different parameters. Now, what I here do is we work on these, we work on the basis, our basis work of what we have currently in the market, and we refine it. What my vision is to make it very simpler, that you don't need to spend time going on tons of websites to search what's best for you. You just go here, you've got certain questionnaire, and you jump into this. So if you see, different YouTube videos and everything, everybody would be restricted to some certain parameters, some certain things. What I wanted to do is cover all the parameters, but in a single unique way that is easy for everybody.
So where I was going with that question is because there's so much collateral available that helps you assess the right kind of blockchain, the right kind of consensus, ecosystem, all those things. You don't have to provide all that information, but your portal can be a gateway to those collateral. So when on your format was very simple, right? So when a newbie comes in and they want to explore what blockchain they want to assess, you can ask them those questions.
Exactly.
And then if they want to do a deep dive, you can provide a link to those collateral where they can go and do more research if they want to, and then bring them back.
Yeah, that's what, so if you say find out more existing products, that's where, I plan to redirect them to that particular site where they can research and then can come back to our platform.
Awesome. Okay. Are you planning to do your own collateral, your own explainer videos on your portal?
So I think in the first stages, it might not be that possible for us to have everything in place, but definitely after some time when we've got refinement in place, we feel we are at a place where we can have our videos, definitely have our own collaterals and everything.
Last question for me, and then I'm gonna let others ask. So you talked about trading as one of the revenue generation ideas, as well as NFTs, etc. So are you planning to do it in a decentralized manner? So this would be a DEX or a...
Okay, so when I say trading platform, definitely what I'm looking at, it could be a centralized exchange or a P2P exchange where a user could come in, just like a marketplace for cryptos. That's something I might not have dived in about the model for what trading platform, but this is one of the revenue stream I thought we could deep dive into. Definitely it could be decentralized, which is a normal P2P transactions, like you come and you want to sell it and buy it. So that is one of the revenue stream that I was thinking at, and it might be refined definitely. Thank you.
So one question we have.
We have about 2 minutes left, everyone, just as a process check. So anyone wants to ask a question, please do it.
All right, so one question is, so you said that, you're going to also give option to the newbies or to the users to be able to choose or have more information about what kind of NFTs are there available or crypto, how do they can select the portfolio and invest in them. So are you planning to build your own algorithm or what, who's going to do that? Do you have that background to actually build that, or how do you plan to do that?
What I plan to do is, it might be a little similar to what we call as, we might be aggregating information from certain places. Like when I say best blockchain, best cryptos for whenever I'm investing, right? There are tons of third parties that are available. So what probably we can do is, there are 2 methods that I'm looking at. It's probably fetch the best out of this and make it in a single equation and then judge on it, or create a model from a scratch where I'm looking at the gain in the market, the gain in market capitalization, the gain in the volume and everything, and then make a model from myself. The first step probably would be to fetch the data and based on them, decide to which crypto they want to invest in. But probably after some time, building your own generic and organic algorithms to invest, probably, because for that we need financial experts, we need a lot of things involved, and that's where I think we would probably, that would be a second step.
Okay, well, we better leave it there. Thank you very much. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to turn it over to our second presenter. I know it's really hard to do a bunch of these in a 1-hour session, but so we have to be very efficient. Our next presenter is Wiley Baskin, who is in the interwebs somewhere here. And it says here he was nominated by Hunter Follett. Hunter is the chair of my advisory board down here in Victoria. And I know he's quite a shrewd entrepreneurial, got a shrewd entrepreneurial eye. So this, I'm very interested to hear this. The topic is Wall Street Predictor, a website that sells predictions and ad space based on my Wall Street Bets predictive algorithm, a program that uses information from several large stock-focused subreddits to make prediction based on retail investors' sentiments. Excellent. Take it away, Wiley.
Yeah. Okay. So just to start with a touch of background, I was both recommended to join this from Hunter, and the history of this project comes from Hunter as well. We were hanging out on just having an afternoon together, having a little bit of fun, and we were chatting about ways to track retail investors. And we started with the idea of Robinhood had a ton of retail investors. We started making a project with that, and they stopped giving out retail investor information. So we decided to pivot a little bit. And we thought, you know what, a subreddit with a whole bunch of people in it, maybe that's got some explanatory value to it. And I ended up making this project somewhat as a joke, but after running some back testing, it showed some predictive ability. So an explanation of how this project works is it grabs every single day all the most recent posts from a couple different subreddits. It started with Wall Street Bets, of course, because that's got 10 million people. If there's any place that's going to have explanatory value, or it's going to actually make any predictions, that's the most likely because it's got the most people to draw from. But after the success, I expanded it to penny stocks. I'm trying to find what a next good place to look into, because it's not hard to expand to a new subreddit once you actually have the groundworks down. But it collects the data every day and then uses a model that I created with a gradient boosted decision tree, which I heard it wouldn't be it would be a less technologically knowledgeable group, but you guys, I heard your backgrounds. You guys sound like you know what you guys are doing. So yeah, gradient boosted decision trees, they work really well, especially with so many different variables, which this has, because there are multiple different parts of the posts that we're analyzing when we are looking to grab data from the subreddits. You know, how many likes there are, how many awards they get, how many comments there are, the sentiment of the post. Are they saying good things or bad things about the stock? And it, using all the information from all the posts from the subreddits, it tries to predict if there's going to be a positive or negative change in price in the future. And I'm going to share just the website because, you know, it's on a website. You got to have a little bit of fun with it. From right here, the top bits, there's just a whole lot of, hey, you know, this is just a project. Don't take it too seriously, which I think we're going to get rid of if we actually turn it into a product. But for now, you get to pick whether, you know, you want penny stocks or Wall Street Bets and what date, and it's going to say, here's the stock, here's when they're talking about it, and then here is how it thinks the stock is going to do over the next couple of days. You know, you can pick different things if you like. Very fun. It's, you know, nice to have a product that works with, and you can start doing some back testing on it to see. But the functionality of it, I would say, is proved by the numbers. I've been running a couple of historical analyses on what the predictive results are, and it has been always a little bit above market, usually by somewhere between 1/4 to 0.5%, which I'm frankly pretty excited about. I didn't know how it would ultimately turn out, and it's fun to see something that makes a difference and works, especially since it was trained on a very positive historical. The data I trained it on was during a bull run, and it hasn't had a ton of downturn predictions. But over the last few days, it's actually been predicting a lot more downward. So I'm quite happy to see another example of it actually being able to predict how the stocks are going to change. I would say the advantage that this product has over similar ones is I've been searching that kind of sphere, the subreddit sphere, the kind of retail people having fun with stocks group to see if there's similar projects like this. I haven't seen others. The closest I've seen is I made a machine that bought stocks like this Reddit recommended, and then you see how that did, but that's not the same as what this project is, because it's not trying to find any explanatory variables in those. It's just blindly following the mob wisdom of a group, which I don't trust as much as trying to really parse through and actually get the sentiment of what the subreddit is trying to say. The other advantage I feel like this has is I've grown a good database of historical posts we can work with. I know there are other ways to get historical posts, but none of them are very easy and they're kind of spotty. So having a nice archive at this point that I built up over about a year and a half is very nice, stored and ready to work with. To monetize, because right now this is just a fun project. If I wanted to monetize it, I would focus on two parts. The first to be ad revenue on the website. I think if we promote it in different areas on the different subreddits, maybe on Twitter or some other social media, it can drive a lot more visitors for no other reason than it's just a fun idea. And I think you could sell ad revenue there. I think beyond that, though, if it takes a step further, is sell the predicted information with like a delay of a day or two for free information. So you can monetize the predictions themselves by selling an inside grab into what the predictive value of 10 million people in a subreddit is. I think it is a fun sell to a lot of different people who believe that a new era of retail investing is happening. And I think this is one of the more interesting ways to quantify and use retail investment. If there's any other questions you guys have about it, this is my passion project and I love to talk about it.
Okay, questions from the panelists?
Okay, all right. So I'd like your approach to having fun with it. That's very important. Usually people miss that, right? So this is really good, and I hope that you will keep the fun element right through your progression. My question is about your IP to use the predictive algorithm.
Sure.
Have you looked at widening that and using some technical analysis parameters like RSI and Bollinger Bands and all the other technical data that's available, that when combined with the predictive algorithm that's basically going by the sentiment analysis of the people on the subreddit, combining that with the technical parameters will make it more compelling? Have you given that any thought?
Not yet. So far, I've just been focused on trying to refine the sentiment and the values of the post as well as possible to make it as predictive as possible. I haven't taken too much of a statistical look on what comes out of the algorithm yet, but I think that'd be a very fun addition, a very nice next step.
And like you mentioned, I think it's a very good idea to run some simulations just based on your current algorithm and see how accurate it gets. Make some predictions. It's virtual money, monopoly money, right? So just make some predictions and fine tune that. Just start with the predictive algorithm before you even add other things, right? And fine tune that over a period of time, and then add more things. And when I say more things, I mean the technical analysis parameters, but also you mentioned about Twitter. But I would highly recommend that you look at some other stock focused social media platforms like Telegram's huge now. So look at Telegram as well. There are some specialized Discord channels, so look at that as well. But most people hang around the subreddits and Twitter. So between those two, you'll have a lot of the market covered.
Oh, I totally agree on the training a model and then testing it with buys. I've done that a few times. I like to do that every 2 months or so. And that's where I get the number of it narrowly beating market, because I've tried it a few times and I've seen it pull some successes out of its back pocket. And I think it was really fun to make those trails. But I think it's doing well in that sphere. And that's why I love the suggestion of bringing some more intense analysis to the table.
Also, how would you monetize this? So this protocol, once it's developed, have you given any thoughts to, are you going to do it as a subscription model, or how's that going to be monetized?
So that was on the monetization, there was 2 ideas I was thinking of. And the biggest one is, I think, just making it a popular, fun website that's focused on ad revenue, of getting a lot of people coming to check it out. The second one was having a subscription service, again, that gets up to the date, within the hour after prediction is made, you can say, hey, we think this is a winner, and then have a free service that's delayed by a day or 2. So I see 2 paths. I'm more partial to the advertising one, just because I like the idea of getting this website on as many screens as possible. But I think the subscription works pretty well too. That's a more straightforward way to monetize.
Last question from me. Would this be a mobile app or a web, or both?
It would be, as I'm seeing now, website. It could be accessed on a phone through theoretically not, but you could also just access it through website. For now, the plan is to have it be website.
All right, thank you.
So I have one question as to, have you looked at whatever sentiments that you are using in your analysis, and the actual how the stock is actually doing? So what is the percentage variance that you see, and if there is a variance, I'm sure there is, no analysis is 100% perfect. How do you make sure that you actually tweak your analysis, so that are there any other interjections of any other variables, or how do you make sure that your variances are narrowed and you're close to the actual limits?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so analysis of sentiment is difficult, because even as a person, if I was given a bunch of sentences and tell me the sentiment here, it's hard to put a number on that. I use a library that has a value of sentiments. Different words have different values, but I think the best way to keep it really accurate is it does a general sentiment analysis, but it searches for keywords. And if certain keywords are found, the accuracy of the sentiment goes way up, because there's certain words that are used in different subreddits, like moon, crater, rock chip, like just a couple words that guarantee it's a positive sentiment. So that's one of the best ways to get a very narrow variance, is by picking out keywords that guarantee high or low sentiment. But other than that, it's really just living in the tricky business of how do you assign a number to a feeling.
Right. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Dr. Zhu, and stock market is one of the most non-predictive place, and so I didn't hear the previous one said is very good. I mean, the most important thing is the assessment or the evaluation. Without it, the whole model, I mean, there is no way to see that if the model is successful or not. I got a question. You said you are, I didn't hear it clearly. I think you said you're using the decision tree as the predictive the algorithm.
Yeah, gradient boosted decision tree.
Normally, to my experience, I don't recommend that. I mean, you may want to try some neural network algorithm. It should be works better for those, especially for those uncertainty kind of the situations. Decision tree normally is works very good for you have very certain result, not uncertain result. For the uncertain result, maybe I believe the first choice is the decision is the neural network or the genetic algorithm or the fuzzy algorithm, those kind of things. That's my comments.
I love that comment. I'm always looking to improve. One of the reasons I chose it, I guess I wasn't thinking about the certainty. It was more just the number of variables where it wasn't, there's just a whole lot going in, but that's wonderful to hear. I would.
The reason why we say it is because the stock market is not just a number, you know. Most of the time people knows it's the inside news. You cannot attract those kind of things from the website or a lot of, I mean, it's not for the outsiders to know about.
Oh.
That's the most difficult part of the stock market.
I totally agree. And that's why I think a stock market predictor might almost be a misnomer, because the end goal of this is to see either, is there enough buying power behind these retail investors that a group sentiment change could change the stock price, or maybe there's a wisdom of a crowd. I understand that stocks are wildly difficult to predict, and the idea of making a machine learning stock predictor is basically a meme in most computer science circles. It's more focused on the value and sentiment of the posters than it is trying to see what a stock's going to do based on what it did yesterday. It does a lot of information from a lot of retail investors make any change in a day or two.
Well, thank you very much. I will have one sort of comment, and more than a question, that actually applies to both of the teams. Both of you are doing what could be construed as making investment advice, which is something you can get into a lot of trouble with the SEC for doing. So whatever you end up doing with these particular projects, you need to make it very clear that you're not offering unlicensed investment advice to individuals. And I see, Wiley, you're going to focus more on the fun aspect of it. But you need to make it very clear that this is for fun and not, not to give people investment advice.
And a good example to look at to base that on Kyle's comment is look at the Vortex score of Cointelegraph. So it is similar to what you're doing, but they have big disclaimers on how they are not offering any qualified financial advice, and it's more like an entertainment, and it doesn't stand for anything. But invariably, investors look at that score and then they use that for making their investment decisions, right? So I would take Kyle's recommendation seriously, and Vortex score from Cointelegraph is a good example.
Excellent. So while we have a few minutes left here, I would encourage the audience members to put any comments or that they have for the groups in the posts, and we can pass them along. Please be constructive, as I'm sure you will be. And while we're doing that, I guess I would like to ask our sponsors, what will the next steps be for these presenters?
So yeah, Kyle, so we'll probably need 5 to 7 minutes within the team here to kind of debrief and calibrate our scores and decide upon the winner. Would that be okay?
That would be perfectly fine. We have about 10 minutes left. And what I'd suggest is turning off your mics, or if you want to leave the room, that would be fine as well. And Kyle's going to come up here and get some good audience feedback. So I'm going to turn it over to Kyle while you guys discuss.
Great job, y'all, Wiley and Bachani. Yeah, really great job on really those presentations. Really enjoyed it, everything. So yeah, thank y'all so much for joining and really being a part of this Jaguars first pitch to investors.
Rosie, are you seeing the chat? She might be seeing the chat.
The chat is disabled.
Okay. All right. So
awesome. Hey, no problem. We were looking for the chat to see there from the comments along this, but hey, let's talk about our next event as well. So we're going to be talking about digital first impressions. And so, you know, before this event last month, we had Daniel talk about LinkedIn and really helping you jumpstart your career through LinkedIn and using career services at UHV because we have such a great team. But we're going to be talking about digital first impressions next month, and that's really about the employer perspective on what they're looking for in the employee. So really connect with career services because they're here for you. October 19th, they're going to have different events coming up. October 20th is a suit up event where we are partnering with JCPenney for discounts. And October 27th, the elevator pitch and personal branding, along with the U.S. Navy Medical Scholarship Information Session. So really some great things going on here at UHB and Career Services. So connect with Amy and her team, and they will definitely get you connected. And Dr. Cole, what some great presentations today. It's really awesome to have everyone come forward and really have a unique goal moving forward.
It is, and I'm sorry the comments are disabled. I was kind of curious to see what everyone would come up with. You know, this is, as I said, this is something I taught for many years before I became dean. Ran the entrepreneurship program at the University of Miami, actually. And so we ran these contests all the time. And I hope everyone recognizes that it's very hard to do these presentations. And, you know, there is, you know, even though this one might not be as sort of formalized and nerve-wracking as some of them, there's obviously a lot on the line here. You know, so they're being offered a chance of mentorship by a really solid group of professionals and a good chunk of money to start their business.
And being exposed, you know, that's definitely a great way as well to really get their name out there and really.
Dr. Ken, this is Tanu here, and I don't know if you remember me.
I do, of course I do.
Yes, so I'm very excited. You know, Rosemary informed me about this event, and I'm just so excited of all the presentations that, you know, of both presentations today. I think both presentations were really amazing. And I'm really seeing your hard work and the team's hard work coming through. You know, I was very passionate about having something like this for UHV. So I'm very delighted to see all of this in our ecosystem.
No, it's pretty exciting, and as I said, Edge 196 actually approached us. So as much as I'd love to say we developed it all on our own, they approached us because they're really looking to reach younger entrepreneurs, and this is a good way for them to do it. But I do definitely hope to know that we'll have more and more of these, and maybe more formalized ones as time goes on. And I hope to see you as an entrant in one day.
Absolutely, Dr. Ken, and I'll stay in touch with you and let me know if there's anything I can do to help with this.
Okay. But yeah, what I sort of starting to say is there's a nerve-wracking element to it, but it's also, I think, really, really good training. We have put in place an entrepreneurship both a track in the MBA program as well as a concentration in the undergraduate program just last year. And I think that it's going to, this sort of event where you have real world, people presenting real world feedback from people who really know what they're talking about, is what we're really trying to do. As Tanu says, we're trying to do this more and more at UHV because nothing, we don't want to be theoretical in how we teach things. We want to be real. And there was nothing more real than this. People were presenting technical ideas. They were getting technical feedback from real people that really did it. And so that's very exciting. Kyle, you're graduating at the wrong time.
But no, just to piggyback on that, yeah, the programs here are just top notch, and the professors really help you along the way to give you those real world, problems and help you with the solutions and moving forward. I mean, just the support around here is incredible, and really the business program is really going to, get you in the right direction for the real life and the situations that you are in front of.
And you can get to meet people like Hunter Follett, who is one of our most colorful and successful local entrepreneurs around here. He does this. Awesome. Yeah, he does this not just with Wiley, but with a lot of people. He'll just start kicking around ideas, and he's a very creative guy. So he's a really good person to buy a beer for at some point and just hang out with.
I will always take you up on a beer.
Oh, wait,
hey,
he's there.
Hunter.
He's lurking. He's lurking. I'm glad I didn't say any bad stuff. So, Hunter, how did you meet Wiley?
That is a long, complicated conversation that involves adult summer camps, Texas Shark Tank, and a sailing trip. But we'll have to save it for another time. I actually got to step out, but excited. I think this is a great start. And I'll just add that I agree that I think there's the opportunity for a lot more events like this to give our students and young people opportunities to practice their skills pitching. So this is a great start and look forward to a lot more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm now going to Google adult summer camp and
sailing.
Yeah, figure out. I know what a sailing trip is.
Yeah.
But, so I'm still seeing an empty space there. We've only got 1 minute left. These guys, they better deliberate quickly because I don't want to keep anyone past the appointed hour. But we also don't want to, cut it off cutting it off right before overtime ends or something in the game.
For sure, the 2-minute warning, right?
Yeah. Cut to commercial.
But it seems to be it's because they understand it's professional, so you need to have a big finale. You need to wait till the last moment to make the impact.
That's right. They're going to come in and say, everyone gets a new car. Look under your seat. That's.
Oh, I love that's great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, definitely look forward to more events like this. I think it's going to be really great to really have students involved and even external as well to just like to talk about having exposure.
Yeah, well, and it's fun also. This Microsoft Teams, as much we complain about it all the time, it's fun to be able to do it in both Katy and Victoria at the same time. So we definitely, our primary, brick and mortar campus is down here in Victoria, but I actually think we have more students up in Katy in the West Houston area. So both are very, very important groups to us. And interestingly enough, talking to the two advisory boards, I have great advisory boards in both areas. But both areas are very entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial in different sorts of ways. So I think the more we can get sort of interaction in between the two campuses. Oh wait, we're not allowed to call Katy a campus. Rosie, what is Katy called? It's not a campus.
It's a teaching site.
A teaching site. Okay. Good. So we have a teaching site in Katy. Okay, we have come back in. Excellent. And they look like they have good news. So I'm going to turn it over to the team. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Great presentation from both the sides. I would like to, thank both the teams to making that great presentation, making the effort, and presenting the great ideas to us. But of course, we have to narrow down and then choose a winner here. With the unanimous decision, we all believe that even though both ideas are great, but since we have to look at the technology, also looking at the market and whose idea is more robust and which can actually be kind of leveraged and kind of trained further, we all go with Vishal. So congratulations to that, Vishal.
That is excellent, and really look forward to seeing how this develops over time. And Wiley, yours too. I think it has a lot of potential to develop into something fun. Because it is true, like old folks like me tend to think of the stock market as this, is based on these underlying fundamental values and all that sort of thing. But more and more we're seeing, at least at times, that sentiment can move markets in very big ways. And, Robinhood has certainly showed us that. So it'll be an interesting project to pursue. So I would like to thank all of our guests and our judges. I'm sorry we ran about 1 minute over time. But I think you all did a terrific job, and I had a lot of fun. I hope everyone else had a lot of fun too. And we will see you at the next event. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for organizing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
So,